Great morning to everyone and a warm welcome to the first episode of our season three. This is the year 2022. Yes, it's our season three of a live chat session by Outdoor Wilderness and Learning, OWL in short. As you all know, or somebody who doesn't really know, OWL is an initiative of the Wanderers. In the learning and development space, it conducts specialized training programs and workshops, and we have partnered with some extremely experienced trainers and facilitators to help corporates create winning teams. OWL also serves as a platform for eminent speakers and facilitators. Today, we have with us a person who will help you launch your career and create magic. Yes, you heard me right. Launch your career and create magic. He's often described as a professional all-rounder. He brings an extensive global view of business. He has lived and worked in India, Silicon Valley, USA, as well as the United Kingdom. With such a diverse set of experiences across technology, operations, and human aspects of business. Now, with this global experience and such a wealth of experiences, he brings to the table his complete wealth of knowledge and transforms people and organizations through his offerings in career coaching, training, and behavioral consulting. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker, the young, handsome, dynamic, and ever-smiling Shyam Sadasivan on our OWL chat today. Good morning, Shyam. How are you today?
I'm doing very, very well, especially after that intro, Rajinder. Thank you so much.
No, that intro really befits you. I mean, it's simply outstanding. I have been following you on social media. You're also a client of the Wanderers, which is great to know.
Indeed.
And your book, well, it's just simply outstanding. So we will talk about it.
Yes.
So, by the way, I'm in such BITS Pilani, University of Arizona. You've been moving across continents, learning new skills. You've changed your career, and you've done it all successfully. So what's the secret behind it, Shyam?
That's first of all, thank you for asking such a fantastic question, and thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here. When you ask me what the secret is, it reminds me of one of my kids' favorite movies, mine too actually, Kung Fu Panda, where the father, the cook, the goose actually makes this amazing food for everybody, and they always think there's a secret ingredient, and eventually they find out there is no secret ingredient. So my answer to you is, I think I've just been very fortunate and very humbling to hear it when you say it. It's always very humbling to hear about yourself. I think that it has just been, I have, I think, found myself in situations which brought out the best in me. I found myself surrounded by people who supported me and also guided and mentored me. And eventually I find myself being a coach or a mentor today, because I think a large part of whatever I've done so far has been founded in great support, great advice. Of course, some effort and action goes with it. But a large part of it I would assign to just being surrounded by fantastic people who want to see the best happen to me.
Okay, great. But I'm sure it's not by accident that you were surrounded by such people. I mean, was it your journey in life, or was it just the way you are, positive, the positive outlook, not fearing any kind of change in your life?
Mm-hmm. The fear, when you mentioned fear, fear is always there. And I think whether things are made or were born, we keep talking leaders are born or made. We talk about nature versus nurture. And I think it's always a mix. So, I am a certain way because my genes are a certain way. I was fortunate to be born to my parents and not anywhere else. So I am who I am. I was born a certain way. But then the world shapes you as well. And a large part of what we become over time, I think, is how we react to what happens to us. So I was just talking with somebody who helps me, again, support network, somebody who helps me with my finances. And I was reflecting that I left India to go to America to study in Arizona 3 months before 9/11. Okay. So I went to America and 9/11 hit. 2007, I moved to the UK and 2008 crisis hit. Uh, I came back to India 2013 and demonetization hit. I quit my job. Literally, I quit my job in April 2020, and it was literally when Corona had hit us, COVID-19 had hit us. So whenever I've made huge shifts, the world has shifted with me in not a very good way, I have to say. But it has given me opportunities to kind of modify, evolve, change, learn from it. So what I am, born a certain way, be a certain way, I think that's definitely, obviously, a big part of it. But how we react to things, I think, shapes us a lot more over time.
Yeah, how we react. Yeah, it's really, I mean, really fabulous. I was reading about you how a particular poem,
Yes.
the Robert S. Keyes poem, it inspires you every day.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, look at the words. He says, "Keep looking, stay curious."
Mm-hmm.
He says there is no end to seeing. He says keep
Mm-hmm.
changing. You just get more who you really are. I mean, I think this is whatever you said. Really, this is defined in this poem.
Yeah, that poem gives me goosebumps every day, because I even wrote about it yesterday, actually, in thinking about, what do you want to be, what do you want to achieve, what do you want to do. Some people do this exercise, for example, of visioning, where do you want to be. And there's another way of looking at it. Some people also try to write their own epitaph, or their own obituary, saying, hey, if it's a life well lived, where am I? And I've realized, I think, over time, and even through my coaching practice, where I help, basically coaching, I'm trying to help people be the best they can be. And that entire exploration is about, who am I really, and who do I want to become. And this poem inspires me every day, because I've realized that all I want to be is more of myself. And even today, I'm hoping to, in our conversation, learn a bit more about me as well. So.
Wow. You know what? Since this is such a great open session, I will remind the viewers once again, please keep posting your questions in our YouTube chat. Our team will send it across to me and I'll be asking the questions. In fact, the first question has already come in. And this is interesting. Somebody, I think, who's been kind of following you also.
Right.
Why 42 ways to get your career moving? Is there something special about 42?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And this goes back to reading. I mean, that's goes back to the surroundings in which I grew up. My mother especially reads a lot, and I spent a lot of time reading. And one of the books which I have read is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. And there's this, it's a very old book. It's been made into a movie. And it's a highly philosophical, science fiction-y kind of, and also satirical book. And the idea is that they want to understand what the answer to the life, the universe, and everything is. So they create this massive supercomputer. And guess what the supercomputer is? It's the Earth itself. Sorry, it's a supercomputer. And then it calculates for millions of years. And then it says, here's the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. The answer is 42. So it's clearly a random number, and it's clearly something, satirical. And then they say, I don't understand what this 42 is, so I'll create another computer to find out why it is 42, and that computer is the Earth. So that's the story. But in our kind of science fiction and book club cliques, basically, we talk about 42 as a number we look forward to. So I've been looking forward to becoming 42 for a long time, and I became 42 last year. And I said, hey, no better number to help people than the number that is the answer to life, which is 42. So it's a little bit of a geeky science fiction number there, but that's that. There you go. That's why 42.
Okay, that's interesting. Very interesting how you got it from. There's a very quick question. I mean, this person is saying, I'm stuck in a rut in my life.
Uh-huh.
I keep reading a lot of self-help books,
Yeah.
attending free and paid webinars on career transformation, how to manage time, etc., etc. Where do I start? How do I start? Can you share some simple steps?
Firstly, I'll
I know it's quite broadly encompassing.
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, I'll try and shape my answer for this, right? So, firstly, I'll comment on the books and webinars. I've just written a book myself. And, I found books are great guides if they connect to what I'm going through. So, when I look at a book and read a book, or people watching this webinar, when you have an aha moment and make a connection to your real life scenarios, you can pick an idea and go with it, right? But where do I start is an intensely personal journey. And when I was researching for, trying to figure out the title of my book and write, things in it, I Googled, I called the book Launch. And I just Googled, I mean, anyone can Google it right now. If you're listening to this, just Google how to launch a rocket. And there'll be like a million hits on Google.
Yeah,
And
this is a book. And I
yes,
love
thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're stuck or stalled, you can strike that off and launch your career. And if you, of course, the word launch comes from launching a rocket. And you go to Google and you say launch a rocket. One of the there's of course multiple websites all the way to SpaceX and NASA and all that, but some of the more accessible science websites, I read one article, first one which said was, step one is get to know your rocket. What shape is it, what size is it, what power is it, where is a good place to launch it, where are you going to go, where's the open space, get to know your rocket. So if you're talking about where do I start, I think a lot of us spend a lot of time in the future. We're trying to think, if you're in point A and you're trying to get to point B in your life and your career. I have certainly spent a lot of time thinking about point B. That's what I want. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to become, and so on and so forth. That's great. That's the forward-looking vision. I think a very important part before we start is, where am I standing right now? What is the foundation I have? Where do I stand? What skills do I possess? What strengths do I have? What's my support system? What is my brand or reputation out there? What does my resume look like? What would people's opinion of my experience be? All of these things come together. I spend a lot of time with clients saying, shall we get a super clear picture in your own words about where you stand today? If you don't know where you are, how do you point your vehicle? How do you, if you're on a ship going, I hope we don't end up like Columbus in the wrong continent, but the idea is you have to go to a certain place. In order to point your ship, you need to know where you are. Yeah. So where do we start? First, identify where you are, and then pick one small step. Pick one small step, because large changes don't happen in large steps. That is something I've realized through my own journey and all the work I do. It is about identifying a few small steps and not getting bogged down by the big steps. So basically, identifying a few small steps and ensuring that you take one. For example, I'll just use my book as an example. I've been wanting to write many books, and that energy is there. But I'll be honest with everybody, this is not the book I had envisioned writing first. But this is the book that came. So I said, okay, let me get it done. And then the second, third will come. So long answer there. I hope that helps. But the idea is really pick a step and actually act on it, because there is no right first step. There is a step, and that's the one that you need to take.
Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, I actually did note down a few points. That's very interesting. Pick a small step and act on it. So very, very. I hope the answer will really help a lot of our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, please keep asking and posting your questions, and we will take it up. So another one, I mean, this is personal to you. Were you ever scared when you shifted your career?
I'm scared daily. I was scared before this call. Okay, not scared maybe, but definitely some level of healthy anxiety and healthy, not trepidation, not like real fear, but a little bit of that anxiety, I think, is a good thing. Was I ever afraid? Of course. I've been afraid at every large step. I mean, big changes get us scared, and we have kind of our reptilian brain, the older part of our brain, which is basically telling us don't do anything to change anything, because it's scary, because it's going to disturb the status quo, because you might fail, because you might get eaten by a tiger. All of that stuff is going on. But then the rational front part of the brain is basically urging us to think things through. And whenever we are able to use that and get over that fear hurdle, Because everything good, I mean, so many quotes running in my head, I'm not sure I can attribute it to the right people, but everything good lies on the other side of fear. So every piece of growth that's happened to me and all the growth that I see with my clients happens only when you go past a fear. It could be a small fear, or it could be a massive one, of, let's say, flying, or public speaking, or leading people. And a large part of these fears really arise from the fact that we haven't done it before, right? And that's fair. So the reptilian brain is saying you've never done it before, you're probably going to fail. So the way to cheat that is, first of all, accept that you are probably going to fail, right? So when I wrote my first book, my expectation is not that it'll be a bestseller the first time. I'll probably have to write a few more. I'll probably have to get better. I'll probably have to improve my writing and the way I connect with an audience. Once you reach that, then the fear kind of subsides a little bit. So have I been afraid? Yes, I've been afraid a lot. But the ways of coping with it can be quite different, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. Very interesting. So some, I mean, this is today's, times, and somebody's asked a question. I'm caught in the middle of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
My life and my career has turned topsy-turvy. I'm from the hotel industry, and today I have no job. We were all hoping for things to get better, and now once again, we are hit badly by this new virus strain. I just don't know what to do, where to begin again.
Now, first of all, my heart goes out to you and others who are struggling through clearly a very difficult time. My answer to this is really to, again, found it in strength. And let me explain what I mean by that. Whenever things are hard and whenever there's a big change in front of us, I think our inclination is to do something strange and new. And even when I wanted to leave and start my own business, I want to jump off the cliff. I want to just quit and just do something. Right? There's this urge to jump off and do something brand new. I think it's really important to reflect on what you do well and what really is defining you in the world of work. So this is clearly about work. So just reflect on the question, what do I do really well? You could also ask it differently, like what my strengths are, or what feedback have I received of successes in the past. What happens is, at least in my experience, both personally as well as in my practice, is when things are bad, we lose touch with what made us good. We lose touch with what strengths made us who we are today. And that's only logical in a way, right? We are going through a tough time, and only the tough situation is in front of us, front and center, and we are looking at this crisis. And that is where it is counterintuitive, but it is extremely important to go back and say, what do I do really well? And I will now project that. So instead of the weakness, instead of the tough situation, instead of the crisis that you're facing. So for example, right now, if you are, I think you said the hotel industry, right? So what is it that you did, that made you good at your job? Can you highlight 3-4 strengths and then message that back to the world? Can you highlight your achievements in your resume? Can you highlight in social media, wherever you are engaging, wherever you are able to get heard? So recently, I've also had some questions on LinkedIn as well as through my clients saying, if you want to make a career change into a different sector, how do I target that? Right? What do I do? So, for example, if the hotel industry is really badly hit, clearly the opportunities are less. Then what are your transferable skills? What do you do really well? Is it your communication? Is it your leadership? Is it your speaking? Is it your front office manner? What is it? Customer service? All these skills, are you able to now capture that in a way that's interesting to people from other spaces? And again, I know that it's hard to get forget a foothold, even a toehold into a new industry, unless you create a picture of what your transferable skills are, right? unless you do that, it's very difficult for people to understand what you bring to the table. So suppose opportunities in your sector are low, and you're talking to somebody in another sector, you can no longer be a hotel industry person. Right? So suppose you're going into entertainment industry, let's say, then you need to relate who you are with the entertainment industry. So you need to take all your skills and put it in a way that the entertainment industry understands. Right? So you need to go through that layer and help them see what is it that you bring for them. Yeah. So personal example, after 20 years of experience in technology, in marketing, HR, and operations, and so on, I wanted to become a coach. And now if I go tell them I am in marketing, HR, and operations, they don't see that. So I have to communicate my experience in a way that is adding value to them. Hence my tagline of I help you create magic at work, and I'll help you evaluate your career and grow in it. Right. So I need to translate that. So again, my heart goes out to anyone kind of struggling through a crisis or trying to find their way through this tough time. And what I'd say is, create a foundation of what you do really well and try and connect it to the person at the other end of the line. And remember, every time you're looking for a job or work, there's always a person at the other end of the line. So if you're able to connect to their need, right? So one of my coaches has always told me, at the other side of every job description, there is a boss wanting to get something done. So can you get through to that person who can then support your move?
Excellent. In fact, I know these are tough times for a lot of people out there, and the industries, some of the industries have been hit very badly, and they were just about recovering. And again, the strain has come in, but there is hope, and this will soon go away. Mankind is very, very resilient and powerful and positive.
Indeed.
We'll all wait through this and get better. And another thing, Shyam, remember we discussed that. Shyam, you and I would probably launch a workshop soon, so we will let our viewers know and message to them specifically on how to launch your career once more. So if that really adds value, we will let you know about this workshop very
Absolutely.
soon. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Shyam. Another thing is, it's quite open-ended. How do you define success? I keep reading so many versions of what success means.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Success. Wow. Okay. Again, a deeply, intensely personal question, isn't it? Because the definition is so different for others, right?
Yeah.
There was, for example, financial success or personal kind of family life. It could be a big deal. I want to talk about money first and kind of get it out of the way. Okay. Because financial success is so prominent in our, I think in our entire vision of what success is, because whenever I go to YouTube, I see people talking about Ferraris and big homes and holidays and all of that, which is all tied to that view of success related to money and wealth. So I want to talk about money first, and maybe I'll come to my own definition of success first. There's a few ways of looking at this, right? Obviously, we need money to succeed in the world and so on. And there's this. I read the Mint every day. I get the Mint paper and I read it. And today there was a fantastic quote. I just related it to it so deeply. I forget the name of the person, but I'll probably put that into the YouTube comments later. Is money can't buy you happiness, but it can calm your nerves. And I thought that was such a wonderful description of it. Obviously, if you have some money in the bank account, you feel calmer, no? You feel calmer, you feel safer, you feel more secure. I thought that was a fantastic way of looking at it. Another way of looking at wealth that has really impacted me quite strongly, very related idea, is from Naval Ravikant, who, many people on social media follow him very deeply. He's a VC, Indian-born American venture capitalist out of the Bay Area. And he talks about the three things that we want. We want health, wealth, and happiness. But we don't know in which order we want it. Most of us want to be healthy, wealthy, and happy, but we don't know which order it is. And if you look at the ways we look at these things, some of us want to be healthy first, some of us want to be happy. But then he talks about, hey, can we just kind of make some money first? Again, it calms the nerves. So my view of success, just to build this up into my own view of success, is I want to feel a bit safe. I want to feel a bit secure, almost like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I want to be safe, secure, and to lapse into Hindi for a second, have some roti kapda mat sorted, basic food shelter sorted, and then grow into that space where I'm intellectually challenged and so on. So my view of success is I don't wake up in the morning and think about the basics. I have the time, space, and freedom to do what I want. And eventually it comes down to the poem of, am I allowing myself that, do I have the luxury of allowing myself that self-exploration time of kind of finding out more about myself and becoming who I am? And that in a way was my reason to go into entrepreneurship and do my own thing, because at my age, at kind of early 40s, I wanted to create a life for myself that I can continue for the second half of my life. So I had done work in corporate, I had traveled many countries, done work, different things. I have a family, I have 2 children, and I wanted to create a life where I would be able to manage my time. And time, nowadays there's so much talk about how time is the biggest asset we have. So are we being conscious about how we spend our time? But if you have a lot of time and no money, that doesn't work out either. So for me, success is about going up that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, having my kind of basics sorted, knowing, but not gunning for this crazy financial, which could be something people are ambitious about. But for me, it is more important to feel safe, secure, and then have the freedom to pursue what I want. So time and freedom of choice are what how I define my success.
Yeah. So, oh, that's really an eye opener, and you're absolutely right. That success is defined by how each one sees it. Like you say, somebody may want wealth first,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, "Yeah, I'll be happy, and I'll be happier, and I'll get health. I'll work on health." There's a very good question from a viewer. I'll give his name, Himesh Mehta. Hi, my company got overtaken by a competitor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was asked to check opportunities outside. After working for 2 decades, I am now confused, worried, and my age is catching up. It is difficult to find new opportunities. You want me to repeat it, Shyam? Was it clear?
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
So the
yeah, please.
question
Yeah.
is how to approach that, I guess, how to approach the
Mm-hmm.
new
Yeah.
opportunities, right? Yeah. Um, I'm going to reflect it again, both personally as well as what I have observed through my practice. I also kind of moved and wanted to do something differently after about 20 years. And I have coached folks in their 40s and 50s, where there is either a internal need to change or enforced by circumstances. I think the number one step is to recognize that you are the sum of all the experiences that you have had at work, right? And to have that solid view of who you are, what you do, and what you can offer to the world. Yeah. So that is number one step. Uh, Internally, moving is a great test of um, your network, and they say network is net worth internally, in seeing if you are able to find opportunities internally within the changes that are happening. Second, external. The immediate reaction from us when we are looking outside is to go on job websites, is to go on, Naukri.com and Monster and, LinkedIn and try and find roles. But large part of that world of online application is automated through the computer. There's ATS systems, application tracking systems in the background. These are all word matching and all of these things are happening. For people who are experienced for over 2 decades, a large part of change happens through the people you know. So the number one step I would advise is to reach out to your network, to people who either are great supporters, family, friends, and so on, or people you have worked with, ex-colleagues, and reach out in a way that you make it clear that you're looking for a change, but do it delicately, do it nicely. People also like to help, if we approach them in a way that they appreciate as well. So couple of things. One, look inside. reach out to people you worked with and people who might be in a position to help you. As I call it, the network of champions. So intentionally create a network of champions for yourself. And when you're looking out, reach out to people again before you go to process. So, prioritize people over process. So if you're looking for roles, especially senior roles, a lot of it happens through word of mouth and recommendations. So if you're staying within your sector, this will help, this will work. If you're looking to move out of sectors, then get some help probably from a coach who specializes in interviewing and placement and can maybe connect you to an executive recruiter who can then kind of get your profile out there a bit more than you could do yourself. So those are some ideas that come to me. Hope that helps.
Okay. Yeah, I hope that answers the question of Vimesh. And there's another interesting question. Again, it's quite open-ended. How does one know when is it the right time to make a career change?
Yeah.
Especially in these times of uncertainty. Now, that is something really, as you can see, a lot of the people are relating it to the current uncertainty, and these have been such times.
Yeah. I like to thrive in the gray zone, Rajendra. I have seen that people who succeed are able to function between the two extremes. Yeah. So if you use the word right, when you say right, there's clearly a wrong. Yeah, there has to be. If there is a right way, then there has to be either a not right or a wrong way. And the answer to that question is there is never a right time. You will never be 100% prepared. If you are 100% prepared for something, you shouldn't do it. You should do something for something that is even bigger than that, right? There should always be an element. For example, before we started this chat, was I completely ready for it? No, which kind of makes it more exciting for me also and gives us space for experimentation and learning and growth. So when you talk about a career shift, right? Did you mention the name of the person or no?
No, I did not. No.
So again, a tip on connecting with people is all of us human beings, our favorite word is our name. So if we know our names, we should be saying it more.
Yes.
So there is no real right time. In fact, if you feel you are prepared and ready and 100% ready for it, you should probably aim higher. Yeah. So then when do you make the change? What is the threshold, right? That's the question it turns into. If there is no right time, when should you change? When should you really change? I think the desire to change for many comes from a place of struggle, crisis, difficulty, or negativity. And I think it's really important to turn that energy to more positive energy before changing. And let me explain this, right? If you're feeling a bit stuck now, don't wait another year. You're already feeling stuck. Take action now. If you're enjoying yourself, if you're having a great time of in your work, pause for a second and ask yourself, in another year, will I still be enjoying it? Will I still be okay? Anticipate it, basically, right? If you are waiting for the volcano to erupt, it's probably too late, right? So think about what's happening with you. One of the things I do with my clients is a career audit. Yeah. And this is not a very detailed, like a financial audit thing. It's basically quite subjective. And we go through just a conversation saying, how are you feeling about everything? How's your boss? How's your work? How are your peers? How are your results? How's your compensation? How's your work-life balance? And you do a rough audit of that in your head. And then you realize that, I'm doing very well. Okay, great. No problem. Move on. Even if you feel a certain hint of something's off here, go deeper into that now, right? Don't let it burn, basically. So when you're getting warning signs, act on it. And then what will happen is, before it turns into something you don't want, you will have taken some action towards it. So personal example, Rajendra, is that I had decided to move on and do my own thing way back in 2019. And 2020 April was my last day at work. But by March, Corona had hit. So I had to decide. And my employer was a wonderful employer, saying, are you rethinking your exit? Do you want to stay on? And so on. They were very nice about it. And I went, no, I have decided to move and I've planned it. Right. So if the plan is in place upfront, then the you will be feeling much better about the change than feeling like that you have been forced or pushed kind of into it. So right time, very personal answer. You will know when it is right, but don't let the change or the move come from a place of difficulty or crisis or negativity. Try to be intentional about it as much as possible. That will help.
Superb. I guess this is a really, really, an answer to such a wide, broad, open-ended question. There's another question from Farzana Haq. How important is it to exactly know your finances, investments, until when you can survive before you make a career switch? And is it important to have a backup plan even when you consider one? And what did you do? So
yeah. So finances and backup plan. Farzana, what a fantastic question. So let me answer finances first. Again, very deeply personal, because everyone's financial situation is different. When I changed, I had a wife and 2 children, and I like to support other members of my family as much as I can. Others might be in a different situation. So deeply personal question, but let me talk about finances and backup plan. Again, goes back to that quote I said, money can't help you get you happiness, but it can give you peace of mind or calmness, right? So some people say, hey, have 6 months of backup ready. Some people say have a year ready. So it all depends on your risk appetite. The way to test it really is, will you be able to sleep at night? Will you be able to sleep at night knowing what it is, and how much time are you giving yourself? So remember, it's a question of time. It's a question of how much time that money will last for you. So it's money plus time. It's not about, hey, I'm going to have a certain amount of money in the bank. It's actually the money is buying you time to do something with yourself. So if you translate that question to a time question, the way I did it was, I'm 42. I'm going to give myself a couple of years to do something, because if I don't do it, then I'll feel like I never tried. So I said, okay, I'll give myself 2 years. So my 2 years experiment, what I'm still in it actually, was to experiment with many different things and see what I can do. Right. So I bought myself a couple of years. So that 2 years, money might be different to you, different to me, different for you, Rajendra, right? So it'll be different for everybody. So when you speak about finances, how much finances you have, it's actually a question of time that you're buying. So think about, how much time you want to give yourself. Backup plan is a debate I continue to have with many people, including my own coach. One of my coaches says, I have no backup plan. I am fully committed to one thing. And there's this really famous YouTube video by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who says there should be no plan B. You should fully be committed, and energy should be fully on one plan. Only then you have any chance of success. Yeah. And as I said, earlier, I am not a black or white person. I kind of thrive in the middle. And I love to think of myself as I'm committed to plan A, but I have a net. I have a safety net. Yeah. So if you get your finances sorted, and if you are okay, and if everything goes to hell, just nothing works, right? Are you in a position to be able to survive that? I think that's a more important question for me. And then plan B will kick in, plan C will kick in, and so on, right? One of my online heroes, I've never met him, I'd love to meet him, Seth Godin. He's written a ton of books, and he talks about this marketing and change and entrepreneurship. He has this piece about, and I completely agree with him. He says, the question, what would you do with your life if you had all the money in the world, right? That's a largely meaningless question, because most of us will never be in that situation. It's a thought exercise that doesn't really help us. And it never helped me. Because for me to think about, if I had all the money in the world, what would I do? It doesn't help me, because I'm not going to ever have all the, in that context of the question. So the really much better question to ask is, what would you do even if you knew that you would definitely fail?
Will you repeat that? What would you do?
What would you do, Rajendra, if you knew that you would definitely fail? Right?
Okay.
So it's a complete opposite question. So what would you do if you knew that you would definitely fail? And that leads you down a completely different path, right? So you start thinking, is it worth doing even if it's guaranteed failure? And by the way, that's how I entered coaching. Because I enjoy coaching. I love it. And I went, okay, if I do it 100 times, if I do it 500 times, like coaching sessions, if I do 1,000 coaching sessions, right? And even if it turns out to be a failed business, will that be all right? Will that still be worth it? And I'm like, yeah, it would be worth it. I would have helped someone. I would have enjoyed the conversations. Maybe I won't get paid as much as I thought, but something will happen. Some income will come. And even if it is a failure by whatever, a financial or whichever metric you use, if it's a failure, it's still okay. So then that gave me the conviction that, this is something I want to pursue. And I would have never reached this clarity by asking myself, what would I do if I had all the money in the world? I would have never said coaching, actually. I would have probably said holidaying in the Bahamas, right? So it doesn't help me, right? So this question, I think, really helps me. So it also helps me because it puts me in a different mindset to a backup. So the backup is always necessary, because yes, failing is not a certainty, but it is a very high likelihood, right? What, 90 something percent of all businesses fail, right? So new businesses, they fail within a year, actually, something to that magnitude. So if failure is imminent, is what you're doing still worth it? I just find that a much more useful question.
Very interesting, Vivek. There's one more question. It's well, these are of course maybe personal, maybe just generic. Somebody's put it, but it's a very, very lovely, very fabulous questions. And how does one know if one is appropriately challenged in their career? Being perpetually busy and stressed is certainly not the right yardstick.
No, absolutely. Sorry, who asked this question? May I have the name?
I don't have the name.
No. Okay, sorry, I thought you said that. Yeah, being perpetually busy is no, it's not a good yardstick at all. I'll tell you why I think that is the case. A large part of our work environment and life is designed by the Industrial Revolution, which is about scale and efficiency. Yeah, a large part of us play a part in a kind of a corporate / industrial framework where there is very predefined roles, and large part of our work is about scale or efficiency, right? You hire people to do more work, to achieve more, to produce more, and so on, right? So if you are talking scale, then you have to do more. If the ideas have come from the industrial age of shipping more things out of a factory. Yeah. But I think a large part of that has changed significantly. What has changed is that we are getting more and more in touch with our own humanity. First of all, that we are humans, not robots, right? And we need to also be able to express ourselves and be ourselves, be who we are at work. I think there is an expectation in today's world for that. So if you find yourself being perpetually busy, you are leaving no time for that humanness to emerge. If the work is always meetings, always work, reports, things to do with the day-to-day, there has to be a conscious effort, I think, to take some time out to prioritize that for yourself and make a start. Make one start. Like I said earlier, one small step, right? I will take 15 minutes for myself during the day. Is 15 minutes too much? Probably not. Why is it hard? Because we get interrupted by this and the computer and pings all day and so on. So if that happens, we need to have the discipline to give ourselves that time. So if you find yourself perpetually busy, yes, that is not a good yardstick. And what was the yardstick for, Rajendra? What was the question?
Yeah. How does one know if you are appropriately challenged in your career?
Appropriately challenged, yes. If you are perpetually busy, then no, you are not being appropriately challenged, because busyness comes from the present. Busyness comes from what is happening in the now. when you are exploring the future, it is not busy work, it is creative work. And in the words of Seth Godin, or from one of my heroes in book writing, Gordon McKenzie, he was at Hallmark for over 3 decades, and he was the chief creative person over there. And this is this experiment that Gordon McKenzie did. He used to go into schools and teach art. Okay, so he has this beautiful story. So he goes to the first grade. Okay, and he goes into the class and says, "How many of you are artists?" And all the first grade kids raise their hand. Then he goes to the second grade and he says, "How many of you are artists?" Okay, 75, 80%. He goes to third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. And the higher grade he goes, sixth, seventh grade, like 2 people are picking up, raising their hands out of a class of 50 or 30 or whatever. Right? What happens is we lose touch with our own creativity and our own ability and worth because we are trying to fit in. So if we are trying to create something for ourselves, we need to be that artist for ourselves. And we need to first believe that we can, and not be the end up being in that busy mode, which is only about the present. The future is about creating something different for you. And that is an art. You're trying to create something that doesn't exist today. For that, you need to first believe that you're an artist creating your own future, and you need to make some time for it, for sure.
Excellent. There's another question from a lady called Farah Ali.
Mm-hmm.
When you make a career switch
Mm-hmm.
into a completely different field,
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's best to first upskill in those particular skills required for that career, or just jump into the turbid waters and learn swimming?
Yeah, great question. Is it Farah?
Farah Ali, yeah.
Yeah, Farah, hi. Thank you for that question. So when you are making a change, remember that either you upskill or you jump in. Either way, just remember that no one will welcome you into that new space for who you are not. They are welcoming you for who you are. Yeah. So if you are thinking about what value you bring, what you already have. So suppose, like when I went into coaching, I had never done coaching before. So no one took me as a coach because I had never done coaching before. They took me as a coach because of what I have, my experience, my skill, my whatever it is, right? So they took a leap of faith and said, my first client saying that, yep, this person seems like, he could do this, right? They did not sign me up as a coach or a trainer because I had never done coach or training before. They signed me up because I had something that helped them feel like I could do the job. So if you are moving into a role that you've never done before, either you jump in or you upskill. Either way, fine, you upskill. But even if you upskill, you have never done it before, right? So you don't have the experience. You will still be seen as somebody who has just learned it. Yeah? Or you jump in, then you are seen as somebody who has the courage to move into something new, has neither the skill nor the experience. So your call, either way is fine. But either way you do it, it is very important to be very, very clear and vocal about what it is that you actually bring to the table, right? So, for example, my own. Actually, let me take a example from one of my clients who just came back to work in a corporate role after spending nearly 15 years in entrepreneurship in smaller firms. Really doing well, and wanted to come back to a more kind of larger setup, more safety, more security, more mature. Family situation is different, wanted a more stable, secure environment. Now, you don't go to a corporate and say, I want to be here because I've not done it for 15 years. No, I have done XYZ in entrepreneurship. I've led teams, I have grown businesses, I have signed up, multi-million-dollar contracts, so on, so on, so on. And then you relate it to what it is. So they can then decide in their own terms whether they want to sign you up, whether they want to welcome you into their fold, and so on. So you have to question, should I upskill or should I jump? Highly, deeply personal question. But either way you do it, you have to, whenever you jump, with skills or without skills, ensure you jump from a very strong place, and then when you jump, you are facing them with the with what they need to see, not everything that you bring, what they need to see. So, for example, one of my good friends who's a head of recruitment in a large organization in Bangalore says, I really appreciate it when clients speak the language I need to hear. Not when I say, tell me about you. Rajinder, if I ask you, tell me about you, you know where I'm coming from, right? Especially if I'm a recruiter, I'm trying to find out if I should hire you, are you a good fit? So if you go on and on about, various things about you that are no relevance to me, I'm already put off. So when you are talking to somebody who you want to maybe join or develop your career, you need to tailor your response. You need to customize your message. And this is where a lot of my clients, even myself, I struggle, because we are all very complex human beings. There's so much to say about us. How do we choose? Remember, we do not choose internally, we choose externally. So in this meeting, in this session, for example, I am a speaker on career transitions, career change. Am I more than that? Yes. But I'm intentionally, and Rajinder and I are intentionally talking about something that is of value to you, our listeners. So in the same way, when you are changing careers, just be very intentional that the image, the story, the reputation, the brand that you're communicating has to do a lot with them, not what you want to show, but more about what they need to hear. And I hope that'll help you.
Absolutely. So extremely interesting. There's another question which has come in from Shivam S.
Mm-hmm.
I was laid off by my company in 2019. Now my job is stable, but I feel my salary is very low. I'm getting an offer from another company, but I have a feeling of fear. How to overcome fear?
First of all, congratulations on your offer. It's good to see that the world is responding with an offer better than you have right now. So congratulations on that. Fear is a good thing, I think, and let me explain why. Right? When you're afraid of something, whenever I am afraid of something, or whenever I work through a coaching conversation with somebody who's afraid, and we are having a conversation. So you asked a question about the fear, right? Which automatically means you have not run away from it. Yeah. So it is not a lion or a tiger standing in front of you saying, I'm not going there. I've left it. You're still considering it, which means there is some merit to it. It is not a lion or tiger that's going to eat you. So the back part of your brain, the reptilian brain is saying, fear is there, but it's not that dangerous. There is some merit here. I need to think it through. So think it through, right? So good that it is something that you're still thinking through. How do you overcome it? We cannot overcome fear in our heads. When I was little, not little, maybe in my teenage, when I was kind of thinking about college and all that, my grandpa, he still says it. He's 92 and he still says it. He says, Shyam, don't live your life in your head, which I think is brilliant advice, in the sense that if you have fear, you will overcome it only by action. You will not overcome by thinking. Right? The fear is in the head. The head cannot resolve its own problem. Or as one of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein, you cannot solve a problem with the same kind of thinking that created the problem. Right? So if you think a certain way, it has created a problem. So you need to shift your thinking. And for fear, I have certainly found through my own experience and my practice that fear is overcome only by action. And in this case, action could be accepting the role or talking to somebody in that organization and, hey, how is it going? What is going on? Is this a good place to be? And so on. Talking to a coach, talking to a mentor, talking to a senior, talking to somebody who you trust, who will be able to kind of walk you through how it is going to be. But bottom line is, this kind of fear is good because it is not debilitating fear. You've not said, oh, I'm not taking it. No. But at the same time, there is some part of you that is urging you to go towards it, right? So feed that part of you basically and say, why would it be a good idea to do this? Why would it be worth fighting this fear? Okay? All good things are at the other side of fear. Now, I'm not asking you to take the job. That is not what I'm saying. I'm asking you to face that fear. What is that fear? Write it down. You said you're afraid. What are you afraid of? Is it about expectation? Is it about a new company? Is it about a new sector? Is it about maybe the skill you need to pick up? Is it about seniority level, a role you've never done? Is it about moving cities? Maybe there's going to be a different dynamic, whatever it may be. Write it down and face it and take one small step toward addressing it. And I wish you the very best.
Excellent. So Shyam, do you know about little discoveries? We're going to have some little discoveries, so,
Right.
so what I'm going to ask you is some questions,
Okay.
and you can give a one-word answer or
One
a
word answer.
one-sentence answer. One-sentence answer, but
Sure.
don't know is not acceptable.
Okay.
So we'll fire off some questions,
Done.
What was your worst day in life, and how did you tackle it?
What is my
What was your worst day in life, and how did you tackle it? If there was a worst day.
worst day? Oh,
Yeah. And how did you tackle it?
my worst day in life. I'll keep it to career in the context of work, I think.
Whatever. Yeah.
And I'll say that probably my worst day in life was I came home around 6 p.m. It was a really hard day. I came home. I said hello to my family, and I said I'm just going to freshen up and come out for dinner. And I went in. I freshened up. I changed clothes. I lay down on my bed, saying I'll sit down for 2 minutes, and I just collapsed and slept. And I woke up the next day at 8 a.m., which is very unlike me. I slept for 14 hours. And then my wife got really worried, and my family was like, what's happened to him? Is he okay? They checked up on me, but I was totally out like a light. And the next day I realized that I was done. I needed to make a change. The last day was a really, really, really hard one. And that's when I realized that my body had given up on me and I really needed to make a change. And how did I tackle with it? I started putting a plan together, and then I moved on and started a new life at work. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it. I'm sure a lot of viewers can drive value from it, When did you first articulate your goals and vision, or did you?
When did I first articulate my goal and vision? Wow. You've said don't know is unacceptable, so I have to answer this. I'm not sure when I first articulated, but I have been in a habit of writing things down. And this is a beautiful notebook I bought a long time back. And I'm very happy to share that I don't know if you can see this, but on 9th August 2015, is that visible? 9th August
Yeah,
2015. Yeah. So on 9th August 2015, I said, be my own boss. Yeah. So I wrote this down on 9th August because my birthday is on the 8th. So I had some, wanting to think things through. And I wrote down, be my own boss, do many things at many different places, manage my own time, spend more time with family, and have freedom to do what I want to do. And 2020 is when I eventually did it. So it took me 5 years to do it.
5 years. Yeah.
But that is, yeah, I've got a date on it. And this is why I highly recommend journaling. Get a really nice notebook and write things down, and you can reflect on it later when Rajendra asks you a question in public.
That's a great one. Giving it back. Okay. How do you keep yourself fit?
Fit. Okay, I'll go physically. I exercise and I play. I play a few outdoor games, and I have a trainer and a class that I go to because I hate exercising. So I've outsourced it and I get help. Otherwise, I have no accountability. Physically, I do that. Mentally, I read a lot. So I have tons of books all across. So mentally, I keep exercising my head, and emotionally, I stay fit with my family and friends. I have a close group that I am in permanent touch with. Talk every day, virtually or physically, whenever possible. So yeah, physically, mentally, emotionally, some practices that I have kind of weaved into my day.
Superb. What, according to you, is that one trait which has helped you get through life?
Can I tell a story, not a one sentence? Short, very short.
Absolutely.
So there's this thing called Stockdale's paradox. Yeah. And this is a story about Major Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War. And he survived through a very long imprisonment. And obviously, many people did not survive. Being prisoner of war is a really hard, I mean, just such a difficult experience. And he said very interestingly that optimists were the first ones to kind of not being able to get through the situation, a really tough one. And pessimists also, obviously, because they don't expect to any good to happen. And for him, it was all about having hope, but at the same time accepting reality, right? So for example, when I had decided to move and start my own business, it was literally at the cusp of COVID-19 hitting India. March lockdown, right? March, April. So that ability to, if there is one skill I would say I have learned and I continue to learn, is managing the gray zone, the gray area, that things will work out well, having that hope, but facing the reality, saying it is a tough situation. So for example, if there is one example I can tell you, that one thing I have done to grow in these tough times is I embraced digital working, right? So I have a couple of screens, I have the camera, I have my mic, I have great lighting. I said I have to commit to this, right? Because this is the new world, right? So having hope that I can survive and thrive, but at the same time accepting the reality that going back to face might take some time. So you have to commit to something and do it. So Stockdale paradox, that's my inspiration.
Brilliant. What are some of your hobbies, and do you dedicate enough time to your hobbies?
Hobbies, sport, playing, reading, bunch of books all the time. Which way am I pointing? Yeah, that on top is my cajon. I'm a percussionist. I have multiple, I play the mridangam and cajon, and I play some music, which is what I need to do more of, because I'm obviously not able to meet my music friends and do more things with them, but I should probably do things myself as well. What else do I do? I like catching up and chatting with friends virtually or not. Obviously, more face to face preferable. Yes, music, reading, talking, going on walks, long walks. I like to go outside Bangalore into some rural areas and go see places, sit down, enjoy the quiet. So all those things I like.
Awesome. One dream that you would want to accomplish soon?
Uh, I want to write more, Rajinder. So as you have thankfully shown, I've done my first book. I want to write more. I find myself very happy when I express myself in words. So I want to write, and there's a sense of curiosity as to how the world will react to it. So one dream is, I want to, in 2022, I want to, okay, let me make a public declaration. I want to publish 6 books this year. Let's see what I can achieve.
Great. If you were to choose 3 words that best described you, what would they be? Rather than what they best describe you currently, what would they be?
Warm, resilient, and positive.
Okay. That is something. Shyam, we've almost come to the end of our chat. I would really, really like to recap certain points because it's been a real pleasure. What a learning experience. In fact, I would say that people who are either working or somebody who's an entrepreneur, I just got a personal WhatsApp message from somebody who has a job, is working, that this chat has really, really added value. And so some of the, absolutely insightful sentences that you said, somebody just sent me a message. There is never the right time. You can never be 100% prepared. So he's happy in his job. He's growing, yet he's learned so much from this chat. So it's, and something which even I've written down, where do you stand now? It's very important to really evaluate where do you stand now before you want to go where, and take a small step. Large changes happen in small steps. So there are so many such powerful, positive learnings and huge takeaways, from this chat. I just hope we've been able to add a lot of value to our viewers. This chat will also remain on our YouTube channel. And I would like to remind viewers is that we are working towards a simple workshop with Shyam. We'll keep you informed. All I can say, Shyam, is, thank you so much for this insightful and inspiring talk. I mean, it's been a real pleasure to have you, and you've been so different and so natural and genuinely warm. Plus, it was also about the people, the viewers out there. This is what they wanted, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And before we end this, any one takeaway quote or saying or a mantra of yours you would like to?
Yeah, I firstly thank you so much again. The one thing, even through our conversation and what I tend to say, I think, with to myself and in my practice is that we tend to use our head a lot. We try to rationalize, think things through, and so on. We tend to live in our heads. At some point, that needs to trigger into action. So there's one mantra I use: stop overthinking and start doing. We are all prone to wanting to plan, think, figure things out, go on Google, stay in the head basically. But at some point, whenever you feel right, shift that into action. So stop overthinking and start doing. That's my mantra.
That's really, really, you've left us with such a powerful, it's so simple yet. So simple. Stop overthinking and stop doing. With that, we come to our end of our talk for today, Shyam. It was an absolute delight listening to you, Shyam. And thank you for gracing our chat show. From Team Outdoor Wilderness and Learning Owl, we wish you good health, and it'll be a pleasure to see you soon once again.
Thank you, Rajendra. Thank you, everybody at OWL, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your questions. It's been wonderful. Hope to see you again. Stay safe, stay positive, and goodbye.
Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking to Shyam Sadasivan, a coach, expert facilitator, and above all, someone who can launch a career. You will hear from Team OWL very soon regarding a workshop that we will hold jointly. Thank you for watching today's session brought to you by Outdoor Wilderness and Learning. It's an incubation of the wanderers. Until the next episode, stay healthy, stay safe. This is your OWL host, Rajendra Singh, wishing you the best in life. Thank you so much. Bye.